Okay,
Sorry.
it is 6 o'clock. I hereby call this regularly scheduled Carter County School District 2 Board of Trustees meeting to order. Cassie Westby and Casey Alameda and Walmsley are excused. Paul Clark will be here in approximately 10 minutes. So we have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and start the meeting. Georgia, would you say the pledge and start?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented, as amended, sorry. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended, the amendment being item 9, the new business license. All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Looks like we have no presentations or recognitions at this time. Correspondence.
You can see the letter attached from the Wyoming State Shooting Association, was addressed to the board, so you can read that. It's about a resolution that doesn't work sign under education in schools. They sent them, I'm sure, all the school groups. Just attach that with the correspondence.
Sure. I know when Joe Johnson did the hunter safety. So handy. Item 5, resignations and hiring. A,
We have our resignation from Angela Albert, who was the HES counselor North, effective at the end of the year. Through that resignation.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the resignation by Angela Albert effective end of the 2020-21 school year and thank her for her service.
Silence.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the resignation for Angela Albritton, effective at the end of the school year. Thank you for her service. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. And B.
Item B is the additional first grade teacher to lessen the load from about 18, 17 per class to back around 12 to 13. As far as we know right now, this is basically a proposal from Darren, paid for by having one less para and then using some of the grant money to cover the balance. So it's not any additional cost to the district. Lisa Platt is actually from the encampment area down south. Her parents have a place next to where Nana is. So she's familiar with the area. So.
Mr. Chair, I move that we offer a contract to Lisa Platt for the 21-22 school year with her current assignment will be first grade at the Saratoga Elementary School.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to offer a contract to Lisa Platt for the 2021-22 school year. Current assignment being first grade at Saratoga Elementary. Just a question. So the plan is to have 2 kindergarten teachers and 3 first grades, just based on numbers. Just that big class, just moving.
And of course, it's all could be adjusted. I mean, you know, like for example, the first grade came in less than expected, kindergarten came in more.
Yeah, but that's initially the plan, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Both. Motion carries. Hi, Paul. So we are just got into the hirings and resignations. Just to catch you up, we accepted the resignation of Angela Albritton, counselor at Howard Elementary School, and offered a contract to Lisa Platt to teach first grade at Saratoga Elementary.
Thank you.
To be the 3rd teacher. Assuming we'll have her stay.
They know where to see. which, these are the activity extra duty contracts. And we kind of moved this back to June from what used to be August, because when there's a change in activity coordinator like there is in Canada this year, there are some summer duties that actually they start to do. So if there's no turnover, it's no real issue, but when you have a turnover, wait till August to hire somebody and expect them to do this in July. Just the timing is not the best. So we have this remote now. All three, all three.
No, I'm just curious, from my time here, did they do like an application process or?
I'm trying to remember, I think they did.
I know we at least opened it
Yeah.
internally, I can't recall.
It was listed, but everything
On
else.
the team website.
Mr. Chairman, I move we offer the 2021-2022 activity coordinator listing for activity extra duty contracts as listed. Second.
Move and seconded to approve the activity extra duty contracts as listed for Janice Peterson encampment, Russ Wiggum, and HEM. The Great Park Road. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Item D is, communicated some of this, there's some board briefs and some previous conversations, but this has to do with the, last ESSER grant that was approved last December for school districts. It can be used for, closing gaps of students due to COVID, or really, I guess, due to anything. It's kind of hard to prove exactly what maybe some of the gaps were pertain to or were caused by. So part of the grant was that if you use it to achieve or close gaps, they wanted you to hire certified people to do that. So we called back in a consultant, which is on the consent agenda, that's just kind of connected to the grant. Tammy B. Schwartz, some of you might remember her name. Teachers have spoken very highly of her expertise. So we're going to contract with her to provide and suggest various interventions, and then Rachel Johnson will be kind of the teacher on the ground, will be the connection between her and our teachers. Tammy basically will work with her to kind of, again, boots on the ground, so to speak, at all of our campuses, probably concentrating on elementary, but also forgetting up to about 8th grade. Reading gaps or kids that struggle still. There's more in elementary than secondary, just because of overseas gain as kids get older, but there are still some that struggle in secondary. So this is that we applied for the grant, and Noel wrote it after we talked extensively with each other and with some of the principals, and it's been approved under the written application that we sent in. We tried to budget this so the funding could cover a couple of years if we so chose. We felt it was effective and wanted to carry it further. The total grant is $499. This is not the latest Biden grant, which is somewhere about $1 million for us, depending on what the state does. So anyway, this is to hire Rachel as the grant instruction facilitator. It's not a continuing status position. It would certainly be based on grant funding, continued grant funding or not. And we think the design is effective. So that's item B.
So, yeah, just a follow-up question to that last page. So how do you guys think, like, if we have this position, would at the end of the year judge whether it's been successful or not?
Well, I think we can look at this year. We should be able to, we skipped last year on the Wi-Fi. So we're not going to get, from what I understand, growth data on our kids. We did do the summative data, and we did some interim work, and so you can focus your results on that and also the interventions that we go through to attend. So part of this is going to be, part of her responsibility will be helping progress monitor students that are behind, which is giving them a test every so often to see if they're making progress. So we will be able to monitor with data, and then she will provide the data to those principals and teachers, and then we'll hopefully have the interventions for Tammy. So we will be able to look at some data to discuss this toward the end of the year, before we make a decision to go forward.
This position is, depends on the grant.
It's totally available. We know this grant is not, the one, is not included in the money that the state is wanting to recapture from. That's the first grant by. So these grants, we've got a whole list of the grants, and it's been a little hard to keep up with, to be honest, because there's pairs, there's estimators, there's terminology. But we've got about $130,000 grant, and we've got another one, and this one is $499. That includes all of the ones under the Trump administration. And then when Biden was in office, he got way bigger one, because our share of that one, if we got it, would be around $1 more. That's the one the state's trying to figure out how to keep part of it to help balance their whole budget. There's some question about the legality of that, and they've actually canceled their summer legislative special session, trying to figure out what they can and can't do with the money. So, but that money hasn't even appeared in the grant system. This one has appeared, it's been approved. Yeah. But you're right, this money's not going to, well, we would think it would continue on.
So it's not guaranteed for the following year.
It is, we have until the end of 2023 to spend it. So we designed this so that we feel like this first year's effective, we have the money for 2 years, but after that, no.
Money's guaranteed, but the position.
Position will be renewed next spring if we choose to.
Unless it's successful.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to add about measuring success for this?
I just add that I talked about this probably about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. The state, a couple of years ago, pushed out a new mandate where essentially all K-3 students had to get to a certain level. They called it something about literacy. I can't remember the exact name of it. And we as a district had to provide data that showed that those students got to that level. The state has never officially asked for that information yet, but one year Robin and I put together the report based off one of our testing systems that we're going to have Tammy and Rachel working primarily on, called M-Class. And when we put that report together, we had no students in K through. We would not meet that goal for K through 3 students. So this would directly align with what the state is supposedly making us do, and that's keeping better tabs on when we're testing progress monitoring students. And really what we're doing in Intervene to have boost their scores up so they get to what the state considers
Provision.
yeah, proficiency grade level goal by the end of the year. So I would argue that, yeah, we definitely have very effective means of measuring effectiveness of this individual directly related to how this testing goes, and hopefully see those scores go up as opposed to at least the testing scores that we saw a couple years ago.
Well, I think part of the problem here is the state's still trying to figure out exactly how to measure that, because the measures they put out, very few districts met that. So I think they're struggling with a little bit how to actually measure what literacy means in 3rd grade. So to base it off Whitehall, to base it off Dibbles, what to base that off. So, but there is a push in multiple states that by the end of the 3rd grade, the goal is to have every student at 3rd grade level. I mean, it's the goal, always has been. Now there's a little more long, I'm not sure when they will want those results and what that will mean for accountability and how that's going to all work. But there is that.
Whenever they enact it, if they enact it.
When, yeah.
The idea is that any grade level of any one of our schools doesn't reach that goal, then the school has to develop a corrective action plan for the next year, put in place to essentially say, here's how we're going to try to approach this differently.
Colorado did this a few years ago, so I'm not sure what the results have been since.
And this position will be here at central office or?
Well, she's gonna be out in the schools, I'm sure the desk here to have some place to be, but she will be going around. One of the biggest complaints we've had, frustrations, I should say, not really complaints, with our teachers is that it's very hard for them to take time out to do the progress monitoring for the students. Because that is a quick thing done, but for a teacher to go out and actually do that every couple of weeks for these kids that are identified as below the level they should be, it takes them out of the room, and so we struggle with that. And so hopefully this position here that's on the ground can go around and get that taken care of, and then run the data reports and work through the principals to get that to the teachers and then make sure we've got some kind of intervention, official, formal intervention going on for those kids based on their abilities and those results. So.
Do you think that, like doing Knowles reports or something like that, like her doing some sort of report so we could see the progress of what the program is?
We can always provide
something like
data.
that?
Whatever, we got more data than we could use in schools in general. So there's no way, there's no reason we can't kind of keep up with some progress along the way. I mean, obviously, it might take 6 weeks or so into the school year to have anything to mention. But yeah, other than if we want to look at where it's starting from, which when we start to share some of the stuff, we will be sharing. So,
I think to have like, what, you know, just have her talk about what she's doing, what this position is, how reaching out to all the kids might be beneficial for us, you know, to,
one thing that's been interesting, all the cares and SME, just an observation from somebody that's been in the business a year or two. There's been a lot of money thrown that we try to figure out how to use it in the best way within the timelines that they give us. And I've not ever been quite in this position in education where this has happened from a federal level like that. I mean, there's been a lot of money thrown in public schools in the last year. And for good reason, I mean, good purposes, but I mean, it's a different kind of situation than we're usually looking at.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, I don't know, it's part of my questioning, or I think, I don't disagree with what you're trying to do. I just have hesitation because when we had it's a different position, but when we had the data and special assessments, so it's kind of like a gray, you never really understood it. It kind of just went away.
This is different.
And I understand
it's
it's
an
different.
application that's been approved. And there's
But you know what I mean,
purpose
so
and
we had
design.
kind of, yeah. As long as, you know, we keep more up to date.
Would there be a chance of becoming a permanent position, even without the grant?
Well, I think it would depend on the results and what we're seeing. I mean, certainly you could make yourself very useful as a person and an employee, that's the main role. But I mean, no way to know right now, but I guess that would be up to the board and the administration at some point. So how useful it is ongoing
Right,
when the money is not there.
right, that's part of the question too. Measure. I think we got a motion in a second, so.
I don't believe.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So that we did not discuss this. All right. Next thing.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we offer a contract to Rachel Johnson for the 21-22 school year. Current assignment would be grant instructional facilitator. No continuing extension.
Moved and seconded. Offer contract to Rachel Johnson for the 2021-2022 school year. Assignment the grant instruction facilitator, no continuing status. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks. Item 6A, superintendent report.
All right. You can see the May enrollment figures there. So not a lot of change really. Last month, we're just down 3 students, so pretty much stayed the same. From a year ago, we're down 9 students. You can see where those numbers are. Attendance areas in Cameron +5, North -20, Saratoga +6. So you can see where we're holding our own, where we're gaining slightly, or where we're we're losing numbers and what areas, I just kind of like to keep that in front of us. End of the year homeschool report, this is just something that I think by policy, we figured out a few years ago what we're supposed to be doing. So Dana has put that list there in front of you, of course, those are names and confidential information, so I'm not going to pick that up, but you have access to that through the board docs. We are up some, probably, maybe a little bit due to COVID, but we had 2 families moving in Saratoga area, one was 7 kids, one was 6, so that kind of adds to the numbers all of a sudden. They had been homeschoolers, and so then that adds to our total number. So you can see that we have 57 total, all district-wide. You can see the difference numbers in the various schools listed there, and how it compares to 1 year ago. I can answer any questions on that, but that's just kind of an annual report of where we are in school situation. Update on summer facilities projects. I want to talk just a little bit about Alpine Elementary. I've sent you some information about that, but there's a couple of things going on right now. One has to do with getting some things in place for a particular student that has some mobility needs there. Things like, some things are simpler, some are not as simple, some are less expensive, some are more. All of these are major maintenance projects because they don't add anything. They might change the way a door opens or whatever. But the biggest expense, and it's an item later on, we'll talk a little more about it. The biggest expense there is to put one of those harder surfaces on the playground area because it's due to mobility. The student is mostly in a wheelchair now, will be, as time goes on, will be completely in a wheelchair. He will be a first grader next year. So we need to do something on the playground to make it accessible and also to be completely ADA compliant when you have that situation, and also based on its IP. So there's that, and that's, again, the other things are minor that we need to adjust for that particular student. The other big thing going on that I've tried to keep the board up on is, so we started seeing water under the building, thought it was kind of went away, and it probably did, and then it came back because we think after doing some research with the town, turning water on and off and turning at different places and trying to figure it out, looks like it's some kind of groundwater that rises about this time of year and then maybe goes lower other times of the year. May go lower pretty quick here, don't get more rain. But bottom line is when we got down in there and looked around the building a little closer, there was a few cracks and you could see some things that looked like settling, which would make sense if there was moisture. So reached out to Engineering Associates. Craig Kopaz has done some work for us there, but Matt Stone, one of their newer employees, met Darren and I out there about a week ago. Went all under the building. There's a big crawl space under there, and on the base of the crawl space, there's heavy plastic or tarp or some kind of material that's on the floor of that crawl space. And I could almost stand up at least where he went in on the crawl space. So there's pretty good space there. Well, he could tell there wasn't any water on top of the plastic anywhere. There had been some, and we put in a sump pump with a float on it, so all the water on top of that one corner was out. But he could tell the ground was wet underneath the plastic. And so what they're going to do is meet Darren out there and maybe Harold and Laura on Wednesday, and he's going to take some laser levels to look at the cross beams to see if there's been any unevenness or if they're still level or not. Obviously, they're not completely level, or you wouldn't be seeing some cracks around where it looks like it's settled and created some tension. So from that, he will give us a report and then maybe some recommendations on where we need to go from here. So that's kind of what I know about that right now. He asked if, and Paul might know, or Charlie might know, if when that building was put into place, there were any French drains put under it. And I suspect not, but I have actually asked anybody that maybe would know, Harry might know. call him, former maintenance guy out there. He said that it could be that if they put in French drains, they would clog, and that would be a more simple thing, but if they're not French drains, that might be a.
Yeah,
So
I don't think they.
I bet not. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, and the groundwater is so hit and miss, according to the years, so I don't, like when they put that school in, it wasn't the groundwater.
So anyway, bottom line, we're gonna get a report on what he suggests we need to do, if there's actions we could take or should take, or whatever their recommendation. So that's upcoming after Wednesday, when he goes up there, he'll come up with some kind of written report that'll probably be ready for July. Hopefully he'll be here to talk about it and answer questions. So I will keep everyone updated on that. Anything that has been suggested so far as possibilities, again, to come out of major maintenance, because it's nothing new. So it makes it at least where we've got some funding available. So it's like any other district building asset, we want to keep it maintained. I mean, I guess we could just not do anything, but it's not going to get better. You can go in that little commons area room, and I don't know if you've ever looked up, we haven't been into that much this past year because we go out there for meetings, but there are metal iron girders and some braces that go out like these, and some of them, a couple of them have come off of the bolt on the ceiling and or across. So we're in the process of getting that figured out as far as some facilities, some going on this summer. So I'll keep everybody updated weekly as I get more information on that. The other couple of things that I just mentioned, I don't know if you've been, Charlie said, put up the old Ann Elementary site. That plan is pretty much in there and functioning fairly busily the last time I was up there last week. So that's in place. The track and all of the football field is ongoing. And I will give you the site. They've got a camera that's working, sometimes goes out. But I can just give you, I'll email you my login stuff. It's basically a live camera up there they put on a post, really for their purposes. They want to be able to do the time lapse at the end, from beginning to the end. And so that has created a live camera that you can join and see what's going on in given time. So this is what the field looks like. It used to be the football field and track around here. It takes it a minute to start the live stream, and you can actually see people with foot moving around. So it's moving. So this is the field. This is looking, the elementary school would be back over there to the right. The stands and the building that's next to the stands are going to be just off the camera to the left. So this was the oval of the track. So just, I'll get that information because you can log in anytime you feel like wanting to see what's going on. You can actually see what they're doing. And they're probably done for the day. They pretty much, best I can tell, got everything pumped into the ground because just a day or two ago, you could see little pipes filling all the way around where they pump stuff down into the ground. Now they've done that, they probably are in the process of sealing all of those, and then they'll start reclaiming everything. So pretty bare looking right now. And then the last item on my report is basically just they are going to do an in-person summer law conference on the 5th and 6th if anybody's interested. They don't have the link, or at least it wasn't a couple of days ago when I put this report together on the WSBA website, that they will make that live. Dana can send that information, and people might be interested in that. We've had 2 years ago, we probably had 4 or 5 weeks. So pretty interesting. They do a mock school kind of liability trial. I'm not sure here, court hearing that second day, so it's kind of interesting. Legal issues. So that's my report.
On principal reports this time. Special ed report. Report. Remaining.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my report is attached as usual. I don't have a lot to report on right now, nothing notable about curriculum or district assessment system updates. Just assessments, just last week, I finally got the time to sit down and look through and come up with some reports on the White Top Summit data that I'll be able to pass on to principals. And we'll be able to go forward for us right at the beginning of the year with some helpful data to provide to the teachers, show how we performed by the end of the year. Other work, a lot of it's just again preparing for next school year. Just as we were getting close to the end, I thought, hey, got some breathing room here that have reactivated the SCED code update pilot that we participated in. And it looked like when I was writing this report that we have some pretty significant work to do this fall to update those, or remember all those codes that we use to identify every single one of our courses, but especially our high school courses, student transcripts. Now it seems like they're backpedaling because they got a lot of people angry about the updates they want to do. So I'm not quite sure exactly what they want to do, but that has started again. And I'll continue working on that to see where that goes. School improvement process pilots that myself, Ms. Nesswender and Mr. Priest were involved in. That's wound down until next year. And then I also talked about the MTSS multi-tiered system of support. That pilot with some encampment teachers. We've run into a couple snags there, including some recent changes to state leadership. So I don't know exactly where we are on the pilot right now. Need to talk to the teachers about that, but just trying to stay on top of those things so that we're ready to go for next year, since technically all three of those will be expanded into next school year. Dr. Copeland already mentioned it a little bit. So we just, actually we submitted, I believe, the Consolidate grant for next year just today, finally. And a lot of thanks goes to Robin for all of her efforts on that. Whenever we sit down and review all those processes, I think I'm always amazed at how much work she has to do for various parts. So hopefully we'll get word back on that. Hopefully it gets approved pretty quickly. As Dr. Copeland said, our SRT grant was approved, and he explained we'll get just under $500,000 on that. And we're using that primarily to work with the consultant, Amy Schwartz, again, as we were doing 2 years ago, as well as that new position with Rachel to really help spearhead what Tammy's doing for our district, so that we can get people within the district some one-on-one support. Doing some end of the year reports to kind of finish up the year. I finally finished up all of my PD summaries from the last 4 years for our upcoming grant monitoring audit in the fall, which is fantastic. That took me dozens of hours to put that all together. When I finally got it finished last week, I joked with M. Schneider that they'll probably take about 5 minutes to look it over and say whether or not it's good. So I'm glad I had that under my belt finally. And then beyond that, just additional purchases, materials, working with the initial PD sessions for our new teachers at the beginning of August when they start to show up, as well as when we bring all of our staff in. And then also working with that audio enhancements company about the new camera system and audio system that we're getting installed hopefully over the summer, so that it'll be all ready for next year, just to get people trained on that when we get back on staff. That's about it. Any questions?
Well, it's kind of made me think the same thing, of all the hours and hours to put in this and then boil it down to tell us in 3 minutes. Well,
I'd be happy to pull up some files and show you how complex they get if you really want to know.
or yeah, probably pretty well with this. Thanks, me. Thanks. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Okay, audience, any audience comment? Audience here. Appreciate you coming. We have no unfinished business at this time. New business, item 9A regarding the Region 5 BOCES mill levy donation. Region 5 BOCES again requested 2 mills for the coming year. See, Dan Meyer was here at our regular meeting. Last year we did 0.1 mil. Inside the room, we'll get to students in the last couple of years. Any comments?
My recommendation is we just continue that contribution that we've done historically.
The 0.1,
That's the is it 19,000 in one budget?
Or is there any comments other than that?
No, so I guess I move we continue at the 0.1 mil levy.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue with the 0.1 mil levy as we did last year. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. This is where you're talking about this.
Yeah, this is the one that I added to actually amend the agenda for today, and this is basically just to ask you to authorize me to accept the best low bid for the Elk Mountain Playground Surfacing. We've gotten a quote from the people that did SES's, you know, that one in front of their building, that hard surface area. It's called hard surface. It's really kind of a spongy surface. They were gonna come back and do a little work on SES. He said they could tack this on, and he gave us a quote of, I think it was around like 17. So obviously that's a bid amount, so we need to list it as a bid amount for 2 weeks in a row. And then that means that the earliest that if you give me this authority, would be July the 8th. You're looking at the paper schedules and so on. Otherwise, it would have to wait till the board meeting, which is okay. We're just not sure their schedule. They would like to know as soon as possible, obviously, because they're out of Utah, they do this kind of work all over. So I know we've done some of this in the past, but there's been time crunch, so I'm okay either way. It's just I'm not sure if we finish the time school starts or if you could work it in this year. I mean, I'm just not sure. Aaron's visited with him.
So this would come out of major maintenance.
Yes. It would take the wood chips out and put in the hard surface, and it would only, if we did this, it would actually leave 2 elementaries without a hard surface playground. One would be Canton, one would be Medicine Bow. So I think over time, unless we have unexpected major maintenance requirements, that is the goal, to have a decent surface playground at our elementary school. So maybe next summer, look at those. So I mean, that's just conjecture there. But,
So they melt out better like in the winter time, snow and stuff.
you know, I'm not really sure. I should ask up there.
They're kind of fun to walk on.
It's only a little bit more expensive than 2 more lanes of track.
It's poor. Well, you know, that, and the thing is, we can take this out of major maintenance, but we couldn't with 2 lanes, which I think is great.
and we're, our hands are kind of tied, right? With the-
We would be subject to a complaint. I'm not saying it would happen, but we could be subject to one if we didn't. And from what the ADA people, if they come looking around to find other things, they don't get it. It could be real complicated. Very quickly. And it is an improvement to the whole value of that facility inside. I mean, it's not going to be something that will last and be there.
I'm afraid I'll last that building.
It might
yeah,
It's been a piece of junk building. It's horrible construction. No roof and no good foundation on the thing.
Those were in 3 sections, I think. I still I don't think anybody.
Seven
Seven
sections.
sections.
Oh, 7 sections.
Or in this construction issues.
Chairman, I move that we authorize Superintendent Copeland to accept best low bid for the Elk Mountain Elementary School playground servicing.
To be ratified.
To be ratified the next meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
When you have a piece like that where you don't have a school that has that, but we do have other school, are other schools accessible for somebody with those?
And an
needs?
elementary is, it has a playground like this. The problem is you can't require a student on an IEP to go to somewhere else. If you have a school here, you have to meet their needs
At the
at
school.
that site,
Okay.
as long as you have an open, building there. So,
It has been moved and seconded to allow Dr. Copeland to accept the best low bid for Mount Elementary School playground surfacing, to be ratified at the July meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, treasurer report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your balance in the general fund at the end of May 31st, 2021 was $4,591,318.64. You see there your revenue for the month of May, your reimbursed expenses, your May bills, and your May payroll. In section 2, you see the major receipts. You see your final State of Wyoming Foundation payment, the Carbon County Treasurer receipts, and the other income that we received during the month of May. We will not receive a foundation guarantee payment until August.
So at 4.5, what's our carryover limit?
3.5, 3.6, somewhere in there. At 4.5, you got a $2 million payroll that's happening this year. Yeah. Yeah, and our revenue from the treasurer for the month of May that we received in June was 1.4. So we're gonna be right at the 3.2, 3.5. We have to carry over at this point in time for like preliminary projections. That's $300,000. So in section 3 are your balances in your various institutions and their rates and maturities. We don't have any more CDs out there right now because interest rates on CDs are 0.1. Don't laugh. Do you have any more questions on page 1? On page 2 is the financial report of the rest of your funds. You see there the balances in your various grants that are still active. You will see the new grant that Dr. Copeland is talking about, second from the bottom, the SR2 2021 grant, $499,000. You see there on the payroll, the comparison between May of 2020 to May of 2021. The difference is because of COVID. You didn't have employees during the month of May 2020, or very few. Guess not some. Then your scholarships with their balances, there were no new scholarships issued during the month of May. Your employee benefit fund balance, your major maintenance balance, your capital construction fund balance, depreciation reserve, your lunch fund, encampment activity fund, HANA activity fund, Saratoga activity fund, and of course the Mango lodging account is closed. Do you have any questions regarding the other funds? Did you have any questions regarding your summaries of revenue and expense? That we received this Christmas. That concludes my report.
Okay, bills.
Okay, bills committee and met with Sally. She answered all my questions. So we approve the following bills. General fund, $363,123.88. Federal fund, $23,399.21. Hot lunch fund, $22,963.82. Containment activity account, $3,845.45. HANA activity account, $3,798.24. Saratoga Schools activity account $22,583.05 for a total of $439,713.65.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bills in a grand total of $439,713.65. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. July bills committee is Miller, Gaspery, and George. All right, item 12A, items from the board. Tab 1.03 regarding board member code of conduct. Any questions, issues, concerns? No public expression of negative judgments of the superintendent's performance. It seems very specific. Good. Okay, moving on to policies, regulations, exhibits.
The first two on there, JCA, JCAE, were having to do with isolated elementary school categories or classifications, which we don't have, we don't need, so I think we actually, some of those needed those, so those are for retirement. JS is a student isolation payment, it's just no change there. Application for reimbursement for student isolation, that's an exhibit. And then transportation and maintenance of isolated pupils, that's a regulation, but no suggestions for changes on this report.
So policy JCA, that's where remote school would have been put on a remote area and the teacher lived there.
That's not going to figure out that's what that was. Yeah, there was one out there.
Yeah, what is that?
These no longer not just needed, but are they, could we legally ever consider doing that?
Can't imagine how. I asked Kathy, there's some she knew anything about it.
Bill, is there any action the board needs to take to retire these?
I would go ahead and have something in the minutes that we to complete it. Not an exhibit.
We did find a policy in policy BFC, I do apologize for interrupting, but it does say for any policy to be revised, repealed, or adopted. So this repealed, I'm assuming, is what will apply. It must receive the majority vote of the board, so. Whatever the rules would be.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move to repeal policy JCA with exhibit JCA.
Been moved and seconded to repeal policy JCA and its exhibit JCA-E. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Policy revision. Okay, policy JS regarding student isolation payments. Does anybody see anything?
We do have a few students that get isolation payments. These are for students that normally on the bus route. More expensive to provide a bus transportation than we do pay isolation payments.
Most of them bring them all the way to school, or do they just drive to a bus? So,
I think there's both. I think there's,
There's some of
well, there's some of both. The family of Shirley Basin, we come to the highway.
So the second line is interesting. No person is eligible as an isolated pupil unless the person's parents or legal guardians demonstrate to the board that the family is residing in an isolated location is necessary for the family's financial well-being. So you can't just live there if you like it there. Your vacation.
Because so many people live in their vacation.
Sort of basic.
Not sure that.
Probably like little ranch jobs, don't you think?
Most. Yes, I think fewer were the ones out there for so long.
They have the ranches.
Yeah, that was way out.
And then we have some that live on like their dad's housing on their ranch, which is. So probably for their financial interest, it's good. That's what they do.
Any comments or issues that anybody saw or noted on the exhibit or the regulation? Okay. Region 5 BOCES reports are good.
I had Dana attach it, one thing to note, it looks like they're like gonna try to do another day school in Burke County. Just kind of expanding their help throughout the districts. There's any questions? I have to read on Wednesday, so this is gonna come on.
So where is Park 6? Is that Cody or TC or, you know?
I was thinking they were talking about,
Maybe the Cody or Powell, Matisse, 16 or something else.
I think it's Kobe's.
More sense to have day school there.
and then he just put in there, thank you for the ones. So that's all I really have. That's a different question.
Board member comments. Sorry. Sure.
Say whatever I want, what else is said, I can't think. Yeah, summer short, congratulations on graduates. That was a good time for that fall. It's interesting to, you know, when we had kids in school, we loved the kids. Now we don't have kids in school, we don't know. So it's interesting still with the kids that are graduating, and the futures that they have, so I appreciate that. I thank Bill for staying with us and keeping us up for a long time. And still all the staff, Bill, I always enjoy your report. That's it.
Yeah, I enjoyed going to the graduation in Hannah, change of pace from Wellington came to Miami. It's good to see there were a few things different and a lot of happy with places this year than last year. It's nice to kind of be back to normal. If some of you missed it, when we started it, real impressed with the person that bought the property from the old Edisonville school done up there. It looks like they've taken a lot of initiative to try to keep that property nice and make it nicer than it ever was. And when we had it, and Charlie mentioned that they did some work at the Medicine Town Line, so it's worked out well, I think, so far. And I stopped by the track project in Hannah before graduation and looked at the back time and all that stuff. It's nice to see it's going there and it'll be exciting to see when they're done. So I'm excited for a few new staff we have coming. Great.
I'd like to thank everybody who's working over the summer and having fun in the nice cold as heck central office.
Perfect.
It's cold. Nice compared to outside, so I won't complain. But congratulations, we had some kids that got to go to visit the Shrine Bowl. That was kind of fun to see. They're all busy doing stuff. That looked like a lot of fun though. I did get to go watch state track. That was our last meeting, which I really liked because all the kids intermixed and you gotta watch kids from everywhere in our district run at the same time and jump and do all those things. And that was actually a lot of fun to see because we had a phenomenal showing of all our kids throughout the whole district. We got some fast kids out there that can run and jump and in freezing terrible weather. It was terrible. It was, I wouldn't recommend going if it's that cold. So it wasn't very much fun. Like it rained the whole entire time and it was cold. But it's fun to see all the kids together doing stuff. So I really enjoyed that. So,
Okay, I reiterate what you guys have already said. Congratulations to the graduates. As they go on to the next chapter in their lives. And I just want to wish all the teachers who aren't here, that this is a time to rejuvenate and get ready for the next coming year. And I do thank the administration that works hard to make their lives easier as they come back. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to also compound on the graduation. I got to go to Hannah, Charlie, and James, but I also got to do Saratoga too, with Cassie and screwball down the. And then thank God for them, because they kept me straight. You actually had order, you had to walk in a certain way. And Hannah, we just walked up there. I appreciate that. Hope everybody's having a good summer. And then I guess, Noel, since the cat's out of the bag and it was in the newspaper, congratulate my wife, Crystal, for the Carbon County School District #2 Teacher of the Year. It's a good thing I taught her everything I know. And hope everybody's having a good summer. All the custodial staff's having fun out there going along. That's
That will be also announced and presented in August.
Yeah, if I can I add on really quick? I'm sorry, I totally meant, oh, no, I can't, Karen said I can.
You can.
I didn't mention it in my board report because I completely forgot. We were saving it for the fall with everyone going back to actually have like an actual celebration. Crystal Clark received our Teacher of the Year award, and Becky Priesel received the Staff Member of the Year award. So I just ordered the awards for them a couple days ago, or last week, I should say. And yeah, we're going to do something much more
Official.
noteworthy. Yeah,
We didn't realize that was going to be in the paper.
Yeah.
Because we were going to do an announcement, but somebody put it in the paper.
Who is that somebody?
The report for him.
Yeah. You probably have to keep it from diving under the bleachers. When you start talking.
Best wishes to Angela Alberton. Sure she will be missed in Hannah. And welcome Lisa Platt and Rachel Johnson. I know Rachel's kind of been with the district, but she'll be full on, so. Sally, thank you as always, but I'm sure dealing with all this budget stuff, it's kind of, it's been wanting to pull your hair out. We appreciate everything that you do. I guess everyone's considering, so.
Sure. No executive session Next meeting date will be on Wednesday, July 21st, 6 p.m. here at the central office. Well, that's a new time, date, very normal. For 6 today. And after that, we will have a budget hearing immediately following the board meeting, July 21st. I'm going to adjourn the board meeting, and then we will have budget amendment hearing briefly. So the regular scheduled board meeting is adjourned. Then open up the budget amendment hearing. So.
Mr. Chairman, you'll see in your materials that I'm recommending to amend the food service budget due to the school district being able to participate in the summer food program all year long. During the school year, we were able to serve free meals to all of our students across the district for the whole entire school year. That being said, we didn't receive any revenue from parents. We had some through a la carte and that sort of thing. But most of our revenue came from the reimbursements from the federal government for the summer food program, which is a higher reimbursement than the normal national school lunch program. So you see in your notes that we need to properly reflect the revenue that we receive from the federal government as opposed to local revenue, and that we did receive more because we had higher participation. I don't know why I can't talk today. We had more participation because meals were free, so it compounded we bought more food, we had more participation, we had more money. So we need to increase the budget by $175,000 and move the budget around a little bit from transfers. It means that our transfer from general fund to food service is going to be $250,000. It will only be about $75,000, which is great for general fund. We won't be moving that money. And that'll put us on track to have an appropriate budget for the school year. It does require that you read the resolution at the back of the packet.
Last page.
Yeah, the last page to adopt the amended budget. You have any questions? Thank you.
And the food service program is continuing, I see the signs.
Yeah,
This summer.
through this summer, we have a summer food program continuing through this summer for ages 18 and under. It doesn't mean you don't have to be enrolled in school. You could be just somebody coming to visit your grandma for the summer or whatever. You don't have to be enrolled in school. You do have to sign up so they know how many meals to prepare, but anyone from age 18 and under can participate in the summer food program. Down to kindergarten or pre-K. Then in the fall, we won't go back to the national school lunch program proper. We'll go to what's called the seamless summer option, which is a little bit different. And we're going to be feeling that one out and learning as we go. That's something we haven't done before. So.
I'm gonna tell that. All right, and then once we get done, we have 3 copies that everybody needs to sign on one of those copies.
Yeah, all three.
I mean, all 3, yeah.
Everyone needs to sign all three.
Everybody needs to sign all 3.
So I just need to read this.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the budget amendment resolution. Whereas on the 21st day of June 2021, the budget officer filed with the Board of Trustees of Carbon County School District Number 2 proposed budget amendments for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, and whereas a summary of such proposed budget amendments were entered into the board minutes and notice of a public hearing on such budget together with said summary was posted in 3 conspicuous places in the district. And whereas a public hearing was held concerning such budget amendments on the 21st day of June 2021, at which time all interested parties were given an opportunity to be heard. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Carbon County School District Number 2 that such budget is amended and is hereby adopted and subject to future amendment is in effect for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Be it further resolved that the following appropriations continue as made as of and for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, and that those respective expenditures applicable to each department and fund shall be limited to the amounts hereby appropriated, subject to future amendment. Appropriations as amended, food service fund, $760,000, total appropriations as amended, $760,000.
Second.
It is moved and seconded to amend the food service fund to $760,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and this budget amendment hearing is adjourned.
Don't believe